if somebody's listening to this right now and they're dealing with, I mean, we're all dying, but let's say death to them is a lot more intimate, like they're dealing with somebody that a loved one is dying.
Yeah.
How can they hold that space? What can they do, or how can they be that's most supportive for,
The people who are giving the care, you mean?
yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh. Well, okay, this is a great question. We're going to have to end on this one
yeah, yeah,
because the angels of time are
yep.
threatening to leave the house, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay. So you could think of it this way. Let's say you love somebody who's dying. I hope that's true. That might be true for a good number of people who might be tuned into this, after we've done it, and if it has any kind of, shelf life. And you may think, and it'll be understandable if you did think this, that your best way of loving them is to love them in spite of the fact that they're dying. That is, your love, just goes around, just bypasses their dying altogether. And that you're going to be positive and hopeful and supportive and all that other stuff. And that would be an understandable, but frankly, a beginner's mistake. Because here's what I want to say. I began with the formulation. Let's say you love somebody who's dying. So the operational word there is love. Okay. Now you might have come to the idea that what love is an unchangeable thing in a changing world. And I've just spent the last hour trying to make the case that that's not what it is. That if love is not changeable, it doesn't belong in a changing world. It has no use in a changing world. So how about this? You used to love so-and-so as a living person, right? Translation, you love so-and-so as if you had a future in order to do this loving in, right? And it's the future that gave you room to do your thing. Okay, so guess what's happened? Terminal diagnosis come in, and that future is gone without a trace, and it's not coming back. So what does your love look like now? Well, if you're not careful, you're going to hold on to that old understanding of life, of love, that resists and refuses the dying. Or you could understand, honey, your understanding of love itself has to die. Your old understanding of love has to die with the diagnosis, you see. And what can come in its place is a revolutionized or radicalized understanding of love, wherein you know that your love of this person will not extend their days but one by one, and shouldn't be able to do so. And so what's it for now, if it's not to obtain increase? Can you love in a dying fashion, a dying person? Can your love ebb as the person who you love is ebbing? Can it be faithful that way? Or are you going to use it as a rock? See? So you could either imagine your love is a river around the stone of somebody who's dying. Or you could understand your love as the whole picture, the river moving, the stone in its midst, you trying to find a way around the stone without shipwrecking, right? All the white water, how you're going to handle all that situation. The fact that the white water doesn't last forever because the bottom rocks, they mellow out after a while, and it's just a current now and not white water after all. And you don't have to fight, see, but you're not going back where you were. You're not going upstream. You're being borne along by something that's older and bigger and wiser than you. And that's what life is, especially life unto death. That's what it is. And it doesn't mean you any harm, but it means you. And you're not left out of the life parade after all. And you're not as lonely as you think. And you belong now, don't you? This is what a belonging person feels like. You're included in the time parade. And there are moments you wish you weren't, but you are. I go by that story. I get behind that understanding. I've been behind it the whole time I'm talking to you. Everything I'm saying to you basically come from there. I don't have a party line on anything. I'm not trying to sell anything to anybody. I'm faithfully and in good faith answering the questions that you're asking me. And I'm doing so because I know there's stuff that's at stake. I know it's difficult. I know it asks things of you that will never be asked of you before that moment. I know that. Okay. So this is one voice who's trying to give you a feel for the terrain just before you get in the water. Just before you start going uphill, just before the bottom seems to fall out. So that when it happens, see, I'm not saying this so make sure it doesn't happen. I'm saying it so when it does happen, you get to remember at least one person said, so here's how this goes. There's going to be this. It's not going to be what you think. You're not going to be ready and you won't get over it. Okay. But there's other things too. And they're equally true. And they're not all defeated and disastrous like wreckage by the side of the road. And I know that that stuff helps in the clutch, you know, at crunch time. I know it does. It just doesn't help in the way that we're looking forward to. See, so here's the final PS on the thing. I was there, see. The stuff you're hearing from me doesn't come from my opinions or my attitudes or my upbringing or my nationality or my racial designation or any of that other stuff. I was there, right? Doesn't make me an expert, but it does make me a witness. So that's what you're hearing. I got no reason to misrepresent this stuff to you. I got no reason to overstate it, understate it, promise you stuff that's not true, or take away stuff from you that is. Right? A lot of people died on my watch and they entrusted their dying to me. And I'm keeping the faith with them by talking to you the way I am.